On the 16th of June 2022, a former member of Team Liquid named Hotsick would post a tweet exposing another former member of Team Liquid named Casper for being a scammer. At the time of this post, this incident seemed like just another case of a large community figure leveraging their popularity to scam their fans. But what everyone did not know back in June of 2022 was that in the following weeks after this seemingly insignificant post was made by Liquid Hotsick, one of the most bizarre incidents in Apex Legends history would be unraveled for the public to see. Two girls that were once close friends with Casper would come out and share some of the creepiest encounters they had with Casper during their very close friendships. And when reviewing the articles they had put out for the public to read, you would notice a dark common theme in the articles made by the two girls that goes to show just how weird and creepy Casper really was behind the kind and respectable persona he was playing. To the public, Liquid Casper was just another identity in the Apex Legends competitive world up to him leaving Team Liquid in mid-2021. But something the public was unaware of after he had announced his departure from Team Liquid was that in private, he would still utilize his Team Liquid credentials to manipulate and catfish countless people in both the Apex Legends and Valorant world. Casper had a secret motive which he had kept to himself. But once that motive became public and everyone had seen Casper for what he truly was, Casper had gone from being a well-respected figure in the Apex Legends world that was friends with practically everyone to being compared to the likes of some of the most hated identities in Apex Legends history after getting exposed. But in order to understand why Casper was given the title of the creepiest pro in Apex Legends history, we must first understand why his career as a professional gamer had come to an end. Since only after understanding the mental state he was in during the end of his gaming career and the terms on which he would decide to step down from Team Liquid as a professional player, only then will we truly understand why he was able to successfully scam and manipulate countless individuals in such an obvious way. But before we get into the video, I would like to give a thanks to today's sponsor, HelloFresh. HelloFresh is a food service that delivers fresh food directly to your doorstep. The meals that HelloFresh delivers are pre-portioned and are sealed in a paper bag, which provides every single ingredient you would need to make the perfect meal. In the box, you would find a detailed step-by-step guide on how to cook the food you ordered. And what I like the most about HelloFresh is that it takes the hassle out of shopping all the time. You get to choose exactly what you want and it gets sent directly to your doorstep in less than a week. Think about it, you could get restaurant quality food sent directly to your doorstep, and HelloFresh is cheaper than grocery shopping and takeout, making it a win-win for your wallet, free time, and your taste buds. If you are a picky eater like me, you can customize meals by swapping, upgrading, or adding proteins and sides with the Calorie Smart or Carb Smart options. And if you're a really busy person, you'll love the quick and easy, ready in less than 30-minute options. HelloFresh uses the highest quality produce that goes from the farm to your doorstep in less than a week, ensuring that you always receive fresh, high quality produce. Not only that, if you love snacking, don't worry, HelloFresh has you covered. The HelloFresh Market provides a range of snacks, sides, desserts, and more. Simply add whatever snacks you want and it will arrive at your doorstep along with your meals. So if this sounds amazing to you, then why wait? Join HelloFresh now using the link in my pinned comments down below and enjoy more savoring meals with less stress. Before Casper would be known as one of the creepiest identities in the Apex Legends world, hell, before Apex Legends had even released, Casper had established himself in the Battle Royale world by being exceptionally good at a Battle Royale called Blackout. He was one of the game's most notable grinders, and he had demonstrated that he had the potential to not only grow into one of the biggest names on Blackout, but also a big name in the streaming world since he was really entertaining to watch. Casper had two noticeable multiple traits that had set him apart from other blackout grinders. He was really good at the game while also being entertaining to watch. So when Blackout was going through a phase when people were calling it the next big battle royale and esports organizations were looking into investing into Blackout esports, it came without a doubt that Casper would be one of the many Blackout pros that would join an official esports organization when that time would come. Luckily for Casper, that time wouldn't take long, since on December 12th of 2018, Casper would join Team Liquid as a professional Blackout player, and from there, his career as an official professional gamer would begin. He would continue to dominate in Blackout tournaments under Team Liquid for quite some time, but while it may have seemed like it was all uphill from here in Casper's career as a Blackout pro, unfortunately, there just wasn't a future in the Blackout esports scene around the time Casper would get recruited to Team Liquid. Blackout was a dying game, but luckily, this wasn't the end of Liquid Casper just yet, since quite literally 2 months after getting recruited to Team Liquid, a new hyped battle royale named Apex Legends would come out and save Casper's spot on Team Liquid, since he would instantly switch to that game and would compete in tournaments under Team Liquid. Now, there really isn't much to talk about regarding Liquid Casper's career in competitive Apex Legends. Instead, the true story of Casper would begin when he would decide to leave Team Liquid on the 11th of June 2021. Now, there isn't much information about why Casper had left Team Liquid since his Twitter account was deleted, but the reasoning behind why he would decide to leave Team Liquid was due to his poor mental health. The reason why this is important to the story is because we need to take away 2 key pieces of information from Casper leaving Team Liquid that would play a crucial role in the next part of the story. 1. Casper had poor mental health when he had left Team Liquid, and 2. He had left Team Liquid on the best of terms. Now, the reason why we need to understand those 2 pieces of information before heading into the next part of the story is because when we now look into the post made by Hotzik on the 16th of June 2022 and the incidents that would occur after Hotzik would expose Casper for being a scammer, it was clear that the main reason why Casper was able to manipulate people in such an obvious way was because to the masses, Casper was able to make it seem like he was still somehow associated with Team Liquid, making it seem like he was a trustworthy person to people in the Apex Legends community, when in reality, he had no association with Team Liquid at all. After getting exposed for being a scammer, it was clear that Casper was not in the right state of mind. He would respond to the allegations of him being a scammer with a bunch of excuses, which obviously ended up being lies, which would lead to him posting a tweet telling his supporters to stop supporting him because he was a bad person, and that after the situation was resolved, he was going to commit suicide to put an end to all the suffering he had caused, which, as expected, would result in him deleting his Twitter account shortly after. And then, to make the situation significantly worse, a former close friend of Casper named Nessface would come public with their past experiences with Casper shortly after he got exposed for being a scammer, and this is when the dark, creepy truth of who Casper really was would come out. To make this long story short, Casper and Nessface were really close friends. They were so close that Nessface would occasionally call Casper whenever she would need to vent, and this would lead to an incident that Nessface would write about in her twit longer regarding the Casper situation, stating that one day she was getting harassed by an anonymous person who was trying to blackmail her into giving them nudes and feet pics by tagging people on Twitter saying that she owed them. This anonymous person that was harassing Nessface would then go on to make 40 accounts on Twitter and Snapchat to harass and threaten her to the point where she would begin to stop streaming due to the amount of stress it had caused her. And then the harasser would take it even further by paying someone by the name of Not Nate to take accountability on their behalf. But the harasser's plans would completely fall apart 7 months later when Nate would reveal who had paid him to take accountability for harassing Nessface. And as you might have expected, it turned out that Casper, one of Nessface's closest friends, was the harasser all along. So while being close friends with Nessface, Casper was actively trying to get her nudes and feed pics by harassing her using fake social media accounts he had created, all while being the friend that Nessface would vent to whenever she had problems. And if you are confused on why Casper would do such a thing to someone who was so close to him, wait until we look into another girl's story about what Casper had done to her, and after understanding her story, you would finally understand the thought process behind why Casper was doing the things he was doing to the people that were so close to him. The second victim of Casper is a girl named Sarah, and just like Nessface, Sarah and Casper were really close friends. They would spend every hour of the day together either playing video games or watching Netflix. But one thing we need to know about Sarah and Casper's friendship is that according to Sarah, she still believed that Casper was somehow associated with Team Liquid since he had kept the name Liquid in all of his social media accounts, including the official Team Liquid domain email long after he had announced that he had left Team Liquid. So due to Casper being such a trustworthy person in Sarah's life, since he's still publicly associated with Team Liquid, Sarah had no reason to think otherwise. So one day when Sarah would be contacted by an alleged HR representative of Team Liquid named Mora, and Mora would tell her that Team Liquid was looking to create an all-female esports roster and that Casper had vouched for her, this not only reinforced Sarah's beliefs that Casper was still associated with Team Liquid, but it also strengthened Sarah and Casper's friendship by a lot. But what Sarah did not know about this Mora individual that had seemingly contacted her out of the blue is that in reality, there was someone named Mora who had worked for Team Liquid in the past.
But that's crazy because there was an HR lady when I worked at TL named Mora like years ago. This guy made a fake email pretending that he's like some lady at working at HR who's related to Steve because that's his last name, Aaron said. That's a good scam.
Now Casper was able to manipulate Sarah in ways he couldn't have before. First, he would get Sarah to believe that she would join Team Liquid in the future by giving her an actual legit Team Liquid contract to sign, and he would then promise her a salary of $4,000 per month when she would officially sign with Team Liquid, which obviously was never going to happen. And from there, Casper would make Sarah do a bunch of fake sponsors such as DoorDash, It Takes Two, Alienware, and much more. But one of the creepiest parts of this interaction Sarah was having with Casper through the fake Mora identity is that in between all these normal sponsors Mora had been telling Sarah to do, Casper would create fake opportunities that would seem legit had they been coming from an actual Team Liquid staff member. But the fact that Casper was the one that would request Sarah to send headshots under the conception that she would model for Team Liquid proves that Casper wasn't just some weirdo that would create fake accounts in order to harass people, but it shows that Casper was actively trying to manipulate Sarah into sending him pictures that she would never have wanted to send him, sort of like what he had done to his other friend, Nessface. But nonetheless, at this point of the story, there was no way that Sarah could have known that Casper was Mora. She was convinced that Mora was a legit HR representative for Team Liquid, so she would actively consult with Mora whenever she had any problems or questions relating to business or life. Casper had basically turned Mora into Sarah's therapist. So as months went by, and Sarah's trust in Mora was strengthening, when Sarah would reveal to Mora that she wanted to distance herself from Casper since she felt as if they were spending too much time with each other, Casper would make Mora gaslight Sarah into thinking that she was the problem in order to stop her from distancing herself from him. Whenever Sarah would present a problem that she had with Casper, Mora would shut her down and paint Casper as a really good and rare friend to have, and unfortunately, for the time being, it worked. Sarah took Mora's advice seriously since she was convinced that Mora was an actual professional therapist for Team Liquid, so if Mora insisted that Casper was beneficial to her life, Sarah was willing to take that advice and act upon it. And now looking at the situation from Casper's point of view, Now that he knew that he could manipulate Sarah into staying in his life through Mora, he started to wonder what he could do if he could gain more of her trust. And this is when he would begin to use fake accounts to harass Sarah, which would result in Sarah contacting Mora for help. And since Casper was not only the harasser, but also the person that Sarah went to for help, it seemed like the advice that Mora was giving to Sarah to help her with the harassment was working, when in reality, Casper was just trying to gain more of Sarah's trust in order to manipulate her even more. But moving on, at this point of the story, Sarah was convinced that she had a future in esports with Team Liquid due to her strong relationship with Casper's false identity, Mora. So when Team Liquid would tell Sarah that they would help her move into a new apartment by providing her with a budget of around $2,500 for rent, Sarah would make a commitment to move into an apartment she really couldn't afford, all due to the lies Casper had been feeding her. While Sarah was waiting to get approved into an apartment she had applied for, Sarah would ask Team Liquid for a new hire letter to help speed up her application process. And Casper, being the schemy little bastard he was, he would forge the fakest looking new hire letter for Sarah to use, which funny enough would get her approved into the apartment she wanted. But now that Sarah would be settling into her new living space and would be blowing through her saved money in order to transition into her new apartment, Sarah was now expecting Team Liquid to provide the money they had promised her for rent. And this lie that Casper had told Sarah would be the downfall of his entire manipulation scheme. You see, even though Casper was destroying Sarah's life by manipulating her in a weird little way, he cared for Sarah. So now that Sarah had moved into an apartment she couldn't afford and was waiting for money she was never going to receive, Casper really wanted to figure out a way to help Sarah pay her rent. You see, the future of Casper's manipulation scheme relied on if Casper could give Sarah the $2,500 he had promised her, since up to this point, Sarah wasn't spotting any red flags with how she was getting manipulated. But if Casper couldn't give her the $2,500 she needed for rent, that was guaranteed to trigger Sarah's suspicion on whether or not she was getting lied to. So how could one come up with $2,500 in the quickest way possible? That's right, scam people. This is when Casper would begin to start scamming people in order to raise the funds for Sarah's rent. But to his dismay, he would only be able to provide Sarah with about 28% of what he had promised Team Liquid would provide her. Sarah would only ever be given $700 out of the $2,500 she was promised. Weirdly enough, even though there were countless red flags up to this point, such as how Sarah had never spoken to a single person from Team Liquid on the phone, or how she was never paid for the sponsors she had done for Team Liquid up to that point, none of that would raise any red flags. So as the vulnerable person Sarah was, when Sarah would be told to do a photo shoot with Casper for Honda, after the photo shoot, Sarah thought that Team Liquid would be providing her with a car. And since Casper was there with her while she was signing the lease for the car, when Casper would act sad that he was not getting a car as well, Sarah would co-sign a car with him. One of the worst decisions she had ever made, since she would end up getting over $2,000 in debt due to Casper not paying any of his car payments. But fortunately for Sarah, things would finally get better for her. When Hotsick would expose Casper for being a scammer, and Nessface and Lulu would come out and share how Casper had manipulated them, that's when Sarah realized that there was a possibility that she had been manipulated as well. The reason why she was not getting any red flags throughout all that had been happening to her is because Casper and her were really close friends. And since Casper was the one that was guiding her throughout her newly found career as a content creator in the esports world, Casper was in a position where he could easily manipulate her while also convincing her that she wasn't getting manipulated. You see, the reason why Casper was so successful at manipulating people is because the people who he had manipulated were the people who would have never even thought to check to see if he had been lying to them. Casper wasn't some criminal mastermind that was good at social engineering or even manipulation. He was just straight up a piece of shit. He had utilized his status in the esports world to scam and manipulate the most vulnerable people he could have targeted. So in the end, to give Liquid Casper the title of the creepiest pro in the Apex Legends world is an understatement in my opinion, since I feel like he should deserve a harsher title, since that would be more fitting for such a harsh individual.